The United States government has already spent 80% of its budget on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, vets, defense, and interest on the debt. This is a scam unless they're going to slash Social Security and Medicare and and Veterans Affairs. They're never going to get to $2 trillion.
How about some of the mandatory programs, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid? They eat up so much of government spending. Do they need to be addressed, and does less need to be spent on those programs?
Well, the first thing that was talked about was protecting the American people's hard-earned money and Social Security and definitely their benefits. No one wants to hurt Americans in that category, but we have a lot of great ideas.
So how is this going, and is this, what's your measure? Is this sort of show, and then we're going to hear that they couldn't really do that much? Or is this actually going to happen? Is there seriousness on the part of members of Congress to cut at least $1 trillion?
There's definitely serious on the part of the public. And where Vivek and Elon Musk bring power is by drawing attention to this. I think they'll also be able to do things by executive action within the administration, like no longer hiring people, having a hiring freeze, having people work in person. I know that sounds really harsh, but making people show up for their jobs. All those things can be done by executive action. Repealing regulations can be done by executive action. Repealing regulations can come by rewriting regulations and having us vote to repeal the new regulations as well. There's all kinds of good things that can happen. On the spending front, there's a way that the executive branch can do something called rescission. So if we send $1 billion over there to build a ship and the government builds it for $800 million, they have $200 million left over, they could do what's called rescission, send it back to Congress. It gets a simple vote, a simple majority, a privileged vote, and if all the Republicans will stick together, we can cut hundreds of billions of dollars of spending. Can we get to $2 trillion?
Yeah.
That may be optimistic, but I'm all for getting there because that actually equals the deficit. Our deficit each year is $2 trillion.
Absolutely. And there is clearly that much that is wasted in government programs. They never go backwards. They only get bigger budgets every single year. They never have to go to the same standard that the rest of us do to find places to carve out savings. I want to play this from Joe Scarborough today, because this is the mentality that you're going to hear, I think, from a lot of members who are very reliant on the spending, the lobbyists, the pharmaceutical companies, the people who give them a lot of money for their campaigns. Watch this.
The United States government has already spent 80% of its budget on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, vets, defense, and interest on the debt. This is a scam unless they're going to slash Social Security and Medicare and and Veterans Affairs. They're never going to get to $2 trillion.
Can't be done. Can't be done, Senator. What do you say?
Oh, poor Joe Scarborough. I remember when he was a conservative. When he was a conservative Republican, he actually voted against expanding Medicare into Medicare Part D, this extra part to make Medicare bigger because he thought it might bankrupt the country. Yep. So there was a time when he actually was a thoughtful person, but no longer. Now, there is a sliver of a truth in the sense that, yes, entitlements are a lot of the spending, but to say entitlements are a lot of the spending, therefore we're not going to look at waste is the excuse we hear all the time. Oh, we're not going to look at this spending because if you get rid of all waste, it won't balance the budget. Well, why don't we start by getting rid of the $750,000 that was spent feeding cocaine to Japanese quail to see if they were more sexually promiscuous on cocaine? Maybe Joe would agree with getting at least that, get rid of that.